And we are live. Hi, this is Dr. T. Tanya Uester, my page Botanically, an alchemy of soothing botanic ingredients. And today is the last episode in this chemistry series for those of you that really love learning why essential oils do what they do. So we are talking about a chemical constituent today, which I fondly left last because it is probably the most beneficial chemical constituent out there to support your gut. And you all know I'm all about gut health because I believe that our mood, that our overall wellness all stems from a very, very healthy gut. I can see that Art Accent is logging onto Insta. Welcome, Lani, you're in, fantastic. And I also see Jerry's logged in on Insta. Very good to see you. Just put something in the comments so I can see you there. I can see some eyes on Facebook. Put something in the comments so I can give you a shout out. I would really appreciate that. So today we are talking about a chemical constituent which is incredibly beneficial for your colon, so your large intestine. And most people that have a high-strung personality or just tend to get quite stressed, sometimes have quite a lot of discomfort in their guts. So today is going to be exciting because you're going to learn about this powerful chemical constituent that can serve you in very many ways, not just in the gut. It's very well known for that, but it's also very beneficial in your home as well. Also the emotions. So I can see Liv Daily Drops has just joined in. Very good to have you on. Thank you. Oh, I can see it's Jackie Sinclair that's on Facebook. Welcome. Say hi and let us know where you're from. That'll be really awesome. So you can see these beautiful roses behind me. I am so proud. Look at those red ones. They are almost as big as my hand. It's incredible this year. And it's probably about 2 years of nurturing now since I got them and I put them into my garden. I'm saying me. I didn't put them in. My husband did all the hard work for me. Thank you so much for that. Because look at those absolute utter beauties, and they're incredibly fragrant as well. So I use them very routinely to make at home sort of toners for my skin. Because they are grown organically, obviously I know they're safe. So they go into my cooking as well. Having rose grown organically in your own garden, you know what you're going to be using. So it's incredibly beneficial. So they are beautiful, and we are of course talking about the chemical constituent that gives the rose its fragrance. It's that absolute wowness that we're after. It's sickly sweet and terrible when it's synthetically made, I can tell you that much. Alka's also logged in just on Facebook all the way from Belgium. Really good to have you on for my last episode of my chemistry series. It's quite a momentous occasion actually, if you think about it. So it's good that we're celebrating with roses in the month of love. And that geraniol, which is the chemical constituent we're going to learn about today, is of course the molecule that is very well known for giving the rose its signature scent, which is incredible. So for those roses that are very high in fragrance, the geraniol is probably going to be the one that's very high concentration. Judith also on Facebook, so good to have you on today. Thank you for joining in to come and learn more. So rose, geranium, and rose geranium, different things, right? Geraniums have very many different species, but in South Africa, we're very well known for that incredible rose geranium species. One of the most fragrant rose geraniums in the world, in fact. And that rose fragrance is incredibly similar to what you would smell on a rose because of the geraniol. But of course, in a geranium plant, the rose geranium plant, Citronella, which is the chemical we spoke about last week, is actually higher. It's present in a higher concentration compared to the geraniol. So therefore, that distinct rose fragrance that you're getting from the rose geranium is the second most powerful or most prevalent chemical in the geranium plant itself, whereas in rose, it's the top one. So it is a really beautiful chemical constituent. It smells utterly amazing. And it is, of course, a monoterpene alcohol. So also quite interesting here that this particular molecule, the geraniol, is also an isomer of linalool and nerol. Now, these are molecules that we've spoken about before, but what that basically means is they've got exactly the same building blocks, right? But they're just in different positions in the molecule, and therefore it gives them many different properties where you compare them to each other, and also a different fragrance. So if we look at the chemical structure, that is a geraniol molecule, all right? And there, of course, is that functional molecule, the alcohol, over there. All right, so that's what it looks like. And that's literally what's giving us that incredible fragrance that a rose presents. So geraniol is also, because it's an alcohol, it's very relaxing. And when we're using it aromatically especially, it's going to help soothe occasional anxious feelings, but topically it's got really good insect repelling activities. Just think about the geranium and the citronella that we spoke about last week. Rose geranium oil is very high in the geraniol, but also in citronellol. All right, so these alcohols have got a very strong pungent fragrance, and they are very well known for being excellent insect repellents, even though they smell quite sweet and beautiful to us as humans. Thank goodness we're not insects, right? Internally, they also support the circulatory system, and they can calm the nervous system down. I can see Jermaine is just logged in. Very welcome on Facebook. Let us know where you're from in the comments. Will be really good. So on a therapeutic level, when we are looking at the monoterpene alcohols, they are what we call antiseptic. So here, think along the lines of antifungal, antimicrobial, very strong on the antimicrobial side, but also very potent with the fungals. If you remember what I spoke about last week with regards to the citronellol, both of these are incredibly powerful when we start to think about the microorganisms that are sort of growing in the top layers of the skin. You know, the ones that we get between the toes that cause that skin irritability sometimes. Also some kind of skin irritation across the rest of our bodies. Catherine is just logged in as well. Welcome on Insta. So good to have you on for the last episode. Have you seen my roses, Kat? Look at those babies. They're amazing. All right, so Jermaine is saying she's coming from Paris, which is really cool. Paris, in South Africa, I assume. I just posted something the other day. A memory flashed up on my Facebook. I was in Paris. I've been there a couple of times now, but the last time I was there is when they had that freak snowstorm. And I literally booked my ticket within 24 hours of the flight departing, which also meant I couldn't book my special meal for the plane, but I didn't care at that stage. It was just a momentous occasion to know that there was going to be snow in city Paris. It was absolutely sprookjesmooi. It was utterly beautiful. So yeah, very fond memories there, especially in February, because it's the month of love. Look, every month is the month of love, but I think it's just accentuated very much more in February. Sorry, I keep on having to click on the one device here because the battery seems to be going, and then I might lose all of you on Instagram. So if you see my hand moving forward, I'm just reminding the phone to stay awake. So basically on the therapeutic level, these geraniol molecules are incredibly potent with regards to the antiseptic kind of effect that they're going to have. They're also very high in antioxidant power, which is good for our immune systems, helping our bodies to detox and fight free radicals. And then it's also very good for the integumentary system. It's very restorative. So what that basically means is, remember, it's a flower, comes in most of the flower oils, that geraniol, and flower oils are very supportive and regenerative for the top layers of the skin, whereas the resins and the tree oils are usually much better for the deeper layers of the skin. All right, so geraniol specifically has also got antiemetic properties, which means decreases feelings of nausea and vomiting, for example, and it's also a very potent antiviral. Okay, that's a very good molecule to have around at the moment. So on the safety side, when we look at Tisserand's guides for medical professionals, it's a very weak sensitizer to the skin. So what that basically means is it's very non-reactive. Most people can get away with using a very high concentration of geraniol on their skin. So I would even say up to 5%. So that would be up to 5 drops of essential oil, because they're so incredibly potent, in a teaspoon. If you ever need to go that high, is probably very unlikely to cause any kind of skin sensitization. So really cool that these molecules are also very safe to use. And it has demonstrated in vitro, test tube, in vivo, in cell culture, anti-tumoral effects as well. I find that quite exciting. So geraniol is clarifying, pretty much in the same group of molecules as citronellol is, which we spoke about last week. And if you don't know what last week was about, please always go catch the replay. They're available on my YouTube channel for free, but you'll also find it in my video section on Instagram under IGTV, and also under the videos on my Facebook page. So the topical use of this clarifying or make clear feeling that we get from these alcohols is going to improve your skin tone and appearance. There's a very good reason why Rose Damascena, the proper rose essential oil, is found in so many incredibly expensive beauty products, because it's incredible for the skin, but it's not cheap to produce, because you need very large amounts of rose petals to produce a pure essential oil. And while we're talking about that, before we get to the emotional side, because of rose being so utterly expensive to produce, the real thing, all these rose waters and things that we find on the market very regularly are synthesized in a lab. They're synthetic because it's a lot cheaper to produce. But what they're also finding in the essential oil industry specifically is that a lot of people are adulterating. So they take some synthetic components that they've produced to alter the chemistry of a rose geranium oil, for example, so that it can pass off as being a rose essential oil. All right, so if you're after the medicinal benefits of an oil and not for it just to be smelling nice, definitely go for the brands that you know are testing their oils, that are providing a lab result to you and I, the layman, on every single batch that they produce. Quite important, because this is a molecule that's obviously easily synthesized and is way cheaper than the real thing. And it's also, when it's synthetic, not going to give that same benefit to your body, because we're always talking about team U in the chemical constituent range. So there's a lot of other molecules that work synergistically with that component in the essential oil. And when you've got this isolated component, a lot of those isolated components can actually become very irritating to the body, because it's not got its play friends there that's supporting and balancing out whatever it is that that oil was supposed to do for your body. Let's talk on the emotional side, because February is the month of love. It's very good for your skin, but rose, for example, is very well known for that incredibly high vibration. So lifting the spirits, making you feel more beautiful. And the reason for that is because of that geraniol that's in there. So it's going to help you feel more loved, compassionate. It's going to support really good healing, or feeling that you're healing. Think tender-hearted, accepted, empathy, and open to receiving love. All right, and there's a lot of us that are not always open to receiving those kind of emotional things, and we need that as humans. So if we look at what the rose oil itself is called, rose being the highest in geraniol, it's the oil of divine love. And if we look at the rose geranium, which is the poor man's rose, love and trust. So it aids a healing broken heart. It's incredibly good for emotional healing. Very good, by the way, around babies and small children, because it nurtures their inner child, especially if there's some kind of difficulties going on. Well, I can see Tina's also just logged in on Facebook. Let us know where you're from. Really good to have you on. So the rose geranium, it instills unconditional love and it fosters trust. So it's a really good oil to be having in a diffuser at home, for example, when you've got a lot of little ones around. It's going to be very, very supportive for them as well. And the geranium, of course, smells amazing, and it's going to be insect repelling at the same time. If you have as many mosquitoes in your home as I do at the moment, definitely a good one, because it's going to be very supportive for the emotions, and then physically it's going to have some attributes obviously as you're inhaling it, but definitely for the insects as well. Bev, I can see you've also just logged in. Welcome, good to have you. Remember, always catch the replay on my YouTube channel. It'll be there under the chemistry series playlist, or you can of course catch it in the video section of my Instagram or on my Facebook page, Botanic Me. So the rose mains constituent is geraniol, and it's often used in beauty products, as I say, in skin creams, in all kinds of fragrances, room sprays and that kind of thing. And now that you know that a lot of those things are synthetic, it's a good idea to go for the real thing. We're probably going to buy the rose in a more diluted format, so something that has already been pre-diluted with the carrier oil, because pure rose essential oil is incredibly expensive, because you need so many rose petals to be able to produce just 1 milliliter of essential oil. I can see Kim is also just logged in on Insta. Good to have you on. Kim, let us know where you're from, and if you are also a fan of rose, that absolutely beautiful fragrance. So the rose that we are going to be using, I would say more routinely, for example, when we look at the antimicrobial and antifungal benefits, And here I'm referring very much to, let's decrease the toxins in our home. Why not make a surface spray, very easy, with vinegar and water, and then add oils such as thyme and geranium to it? The reason why I'm saying specifically those two is that carvacrol is high in the thyme, and then the geraniol being very high in the geraniol being very high in the geranium. Say that quickly 10 times. They are very supportive in a kitchen to combat any kind of salmonella. Now, for those of you that don't know what salmonella is, I used to work in the food industry for a very long time. It's one of those spoilage organisms, but it causes very severe disease. Okay, so definitely what you call it, Kim is saying donations. Any donations? Any domains? I'm not sure. No, we are not donating rose. For those of us that have it, we all mostly have the diluted one anyway, because it's so incredibly precious and so incredibly rare and difficult to produce. So basically the rose and the thyme are very good because of the food spoilage organism. So if you are doing low toxin and you are wanting to clean a surface, and you've been working, for example, with raw chicken, that's a really good example. Raw chicken tends to have some kind of organisms in there mostly, and that's why we also cook our chicken really, really well, is because of that particular salmonella guy that we don't want in there. Yes, Bev is saying she has some very personal knowledge of salmonella. I take it that you've gotten ill from it before. So, ouch. It's quite a tough one. Yes, it's not, you're definitely not going to feel well if you get infected by that. Lani Lige has also just joined on Insta. Good to have you on. Skylar, you're on Facebook. Good to see you. So definitely add something in the comments. Let us know where you're from and whether you're a rose fan. If you're a gut health fan, definitely the molecule for you as well, because we're going to talk about that in a second. But if you are going to be cleaning your surfaces with a kitchen spray made from thyme and geranium, high in thymol, and geraniol, you are definitely going to support good cleanliness, so that you are going to decrease your chances, for example, after working with raw chicken, to get some kind of infection. All right, so very, very good in the kitchen itself. All right. Then if we start looking at the antibacterial properties and all the functions that it has in the intestines specifically, there's a lot of research now showing how incredibly powerful geraniol is for the colon, the large intestine. So there's this is an experimental non-clinical study. They are still on the route to go and do some clinical studies. Oh, I can see Quibus has just logged in. Good to have you. There we go. Lani Light is Almora. Thanks for introducing yourself. All right, so what this research is showing is that there is many positive effects on maintaining the health of colon cells. Now, because there's so many people suffering with gut issues all around the world continuously, which then stems into bigger things as we start increasing toxins, geraniol is going to be a really good molecule to think about, because it supports good microbial balance. So for those people that have a dysbiosis, in other words, organisms that are growing in the wrong ratios, I would say not, we don't have very good and very bad bacteria. Sometimes we can when we get really ill, but it more is about specifically a balance that is incorrect, and that obviously is very heavily dependent on the food that we eat as well. High sugar diet is definitely not a good idea. But in a preclinical preliminary study, researchers found that ingesting geraniol supports a healthy microbial balance. So in other words, that dysbiosis that we were talking about. There's also that inflammation that takes place in the colon. Sometimes it's called colitis. There's a lot of research showing that the geraniol is also very effective, specifically in those kind of instances. So there's a really good reason why you will probably find geraniol, the molecule, or geranium, the essential oil specifically, in a lot of blends that are suggested to support intracellular gut health, colon health. Okay, and here again, please do not be ingesting an essential oil if it says not for internal use on the label. You definitely have to go and find a brand that's going to be that transparent to give you the lab results, because then you can trust them. Okay. like I did. I found a brand that was going to give me a lab result for every single batch of oil that I purchased, right? So for me, it is an incredible essential oil to have around. So Jermaine is asking a very good question there. I would probably go for peppermint in your instance there. That's going to definitely decrease that kind of stuffy feeling a little bit better. Geranium is very supportive for the cellular health of the colon. So when there is going to be discomfort in that kind of area because there's a dysbiosis of the organisms that are growing there and an inflammatory reaction taking place, the geraniol is more the hero there, whereas peppermint will definitely be for the discomfort that you're feeling when you feel a little bit blown up. All right, very good question. Thank you, Jermaine. Then we talked about the Kitchen Clean surface cleanser, and if you don't know how to make that, it's simply 1 part to 1 part. So 100 ml vinegar to 100 ml filtered water. Then you can just add some essential oil to that, put it in a glass shaking bottle. Remember, glass, not plastic, because it degrades the plastic and then the petrochemicals will come out. You do get PET 1 plastic, which is essential oil safe, but I always go for the glass instead. And shake it really well, and then you can sprit your surfaces with that and wipe it down. And that's going to be really, really cleansing. So if you now want to compare, but which one are you going to use if you're after that geraniol gut health properties, or whether you're wanting the geraniol for the insect repelling properties, or are you after the emotional side? That is why we do the chemistry series, is so that you know how to swap out your oils. Also, if you don't have rose, there are alternative options. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about Citronella. Citronella, the oil itself, is also high in geraniol. It contains 10 to 35% depending on where yours is sourced in the world, how it was grown, what time of day it was harvested, all those kind of things play a role. But basically, Citronella is very good to apply topically. So it's not an internal oil, even if you're using one that is a tested grade oil that is safe for internal use. Citronella should not be used internally. It is a emotional oil, so in a diffuser or applied topically to your skin. Always dilute. It's quite a sensitive oil. And that's going to be if you're after the insect repelling effects of the citronella, of the geraniol. All right. Also really good for skincare, because the geraniol itself very good for the upper skin layers, very revitalizing and regenerating. If you are more looking for the fragrance on the emotional side, but then of course also to be able to use it internally when you've got a tested grade oil to support that colon, then you're going to go for the geranium or rose geranium. So that has got the geraniol between, I'd say, 5 to 25%. It promotes the appearance of clear and healthy skin, naturally repels insect, gives hair a vibrant, healthy glow. We spoke about the citronella component last week, especially if you've got those critters running around in your head. Definitely here, the geranium essential oil added to a shampoo or a conditioner is a really good idea. And you now also know it's incredibly antifungal. So if there's any kind of fungal dysbiosis, imbalance on your skin, whether it be in your hair or on your body somewhere, then the geranium oil is going to be really beneficial there as well. And then of course we have lemongrass. Lemongrass also has geraniol. I love putting lemongrass in my diffuser and into my hand washes. I just like the fragrance. But now obviously I know about the medicinal properties too. So lemongrass has it between 1 and 15%. Now lemongrass not only has the geraniol, it also has very many other chemical constituents which are incredible in supporting your organs as well as your digestive processes. But it's one of those oils that you shouldn't be taking internally, I'd say, for more than 10 days in a row. So you can support a healthy digestion by using the lemongrass in a capsule. It is one of those oils that we call hot. So always dilute. It may come back. It may feel like it comes back on you if you're not going to be diluting and putting it into a capsule. And of course, lemongrass is an excellent insect repellent. I grow a lot of lemongrass in my garden as well, because picking it fresh and like chopping it into little thin slithers into my cooking is really incredible. And then it's very supportive, as I say, to the digestive and the immune systems, the lemongrass itself. And then of course, rose. Rose, the prize queen of all oils, has the geraniol in 10 to 30%. Helps balance the moisture levels in the skin. So does the rose geranium, by the way. So you can pop that into a toner as well. So for oily kind of skin, really, really good for that. reduces the appearance of skin imperfections, promotes an even skin tone, healthy complexion, and it's an incredibly emotionally uplifting oil. All right, remember, it raises that vibration. Very good for the nervous system and the skin. So hopefully between those oils, you now know which geraniol you are going to go for, depending on your particular application. This is one of the, I think, the top constituents for me, just because of all the digestive support that it provides. Obviously, that being one of my topics that I really am fond of teaching about and helping people with. And on that note, I'm going to remind you all that today is the last episode in this chemistry series. So if you missed any of the previous 16 episodes, please go check them out on my YouTube channel. If you know anyone that could benefit, I have several playlists on there talking about gut health and all kinds of other things as well. So definitely go and check it out there, and go and see all the other playlists as well. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is these Thursday live sessions are going to close off for a while, because I am in the planning stages for my Botanicamy Academy, which is going to start in the next couple of months, where I'm going to be explaining in a little bit more depth the sciencey side. So for those of you that are inquisitive, mindful learners that like to learn why these products do what they do, how the essential oils are benefiting the body, more so than the layman of just, yes, Tanya, you say it works, so I'm just going to slap it on. For those of you that care about the why, that academy is going to be for you. So always just keep an eye out on my social media channels until I release that. In the meantime, all of these video footage playlists are still going to be available. You can go and catch them there. And I'm also going to be running monthly challenges. In fact, our Love Your Liver and Gallbladder challenge is actually starting off on the 15th of February. The entries for that, unfortunately, has already been closed. It's reached the maximum. I only have a certain amount of spots available per challenge, because I like to give dedicated information and support to the people in my challenges. So keep an eye out on those and the topics going forward if you would like to join those as well. And you can always just reach out to me directly on a message, and this is DM, right? So on Instagram especially, because it doesn't remember the comments that you guys have made during the session. If you ever want to reach out to me, please feel free to DM me on Insta. I won't find it weird at all. Daniel's already mentioned in the comments that he would like to join the Botanicamy Academy one day. Definitely, Daniel, I will send you that invite as soon as that launches. Jermaine's got one last question. She's asking, can you use geranium to make a deodorant? I'm going to go definitely yes, because it's incredibly supportive for the skin and it's got a very strong aroma. So it's going to be really beneficial, especially if you're trying to mask something. Just always remember, if you've got a really bad body odor, it usually is a sign of something else. Some organs that are not detoxing sufficiently, for example, some kind of bacterial overgrowth, and there's many additional root causes that you would need to look at as well. All right, so really good having you all on today. It's momentous. It's the last in the chemistry series, so I won't be seeing you next week Thursday. I'm going to be very heavily involved at that stage with my Love Your Liver and Gallbladder challenge. So until we meet again online during a live, really good to have had you with me on this chemistry series. So keep an eye out for all the new things that are going to be coming up this year. Really good to have you here. Thank you. Bye-bye.